Hello, the internet, and welcome back to the live stream. It is Friday, the 24th of July, 2020, the 24th day of the month, one day into mandatory mask wearing in Victoria, well, Melbourne and another suburb, Mitcham. We're going to look into that on the channel today, on the stream. Before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping. I want to address a couple of things. Yesterday, I mentioned a coiling wire on my roof. As I was out checking the swell during the beginning of the stream, I noticed there was this massive coil of wire. And, well, if you happen to, I don't know, you can't see this, Angel, but above me here, we've got massive, thick, well, it's 4G antenna wire that goes through my bathroom, through the sunlight. It's a bit ghetto. It kind of, I can't close this door correctly because the wires go through it, but that's how I get a better 4G signal from my modem. It goes up onto the roof. The MIMO antenna points directly at the tower, the 4G tower. That's how I managed to stream in 1080p 30 here on YouTube and on DLive. But MIMO antenna system must have a it's called multi-in, multi-out. So it's got to have a cable going in and a cable coming out, right? And one of those cables had fallen out. It was my bad, right? I went up onto the roof and checked it, and sure enough, it wasn't a MIMO antenna at that point. It was just an antenna. It had one cable going in. And I had noticed that my speed had deteriorated very, very rapidly. It was really strange. It was really strange timing. I upgraded the firmware on my modem, my mobile broadband modem. If you're wondering, AC800 from Optus, or it's a Netgear, but it's branded as Optus. And I usually get about 40 meg up. Normally it's about 220 down and 40 up. That's my 4G connection. It's better than a lot of people's LAN connections. But in the last, I'd say 2.5 weeks since I updated the firmware, it was really strange. I was only getting like 10 up, maybe 12 if I was lucky. And I stream at 1080, 30, which means you need at least 6 meg up. And I was getting around 6 to 7. But we were getting a lot of issues on DLive. In particular, we weren't getting issues here on YouTube. It was just DLive. We were getting a lot of purple rain, right? And yeah, lo and behold, I think that it was because that freaking cable had fallen out and I wasn't getting the full thoroughfare, because as soon as I plugged that back in, I'm now getting 40 up again. And we streamed, I've done a stream yesterday on DLive, no problems. Also, I did upgrade my OBS software. I did that midway through this schmozzle, and I thought maybe it was the updated software that was giving me grief, along with the updated firmware on my modem. That was kind of, you know, I kind of thought, they're onto me. They're onto me getting good speeds on 4G and using it to stream, and no one else is, so I'm not allowed to, even though you're allowed to. There's nothing against that in terms, but either way, I think it's resolved now. This stream looks good. I'm on OBS 25.0.8, and I've kept the old version of OBS because I need one thing that one does that this one doesn't do, which is kind of interesting. And that is, I'll tell you about that in a second, because I also want to tell you it's the 24th of July. That's 24 days into the month of July. That means 24 days of Julive. Now, what's Julive? Well, this is a concept born by the Danny Black. The idea is that you go live every day for the month on YouTube, and he took the word live, flipped it up on its ass end, and butted it up against July and came up with the word Julive. Now, I want to give Danny the props, right? This is his concept, not mine. Go ahead, hit the link in the chat. I've just put a link to his channel there. If you're watching the rerun, go ahead, hit him up. It's his concept. You can say feel the gives love when you go over to his channel, or you can just tell him, man, I like the idea of Julive, even though he's not doing it, but this is it's his baby. Let him have his birthrights. The other thing I also wanted to address about, I wonder how it came unattached. Sorry, I just got distracted there. I wonder how it came unattached. It's kind of strange, right? It's a cable. It's got a penis, goes into a vagina, and there's one on either side, and then the modem's a big circle. It's like about that big. Sorry, the modem. The antenna's about that big. It's like it's kind of the size of a traffic cone, a witch's hat, but it doesn't go up to a point. It's just a cylinder. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever you decide, those cables just have sex straight in, and then they basically just hang there. There's nothing, there's no screw on them. They just slide in. So I guess after enough heavy rainfall and rain and winter and summer and expansion and contraction, it just popped out. I probably should have checked the other one while I was up there, but I didn't. But it did raise an interesting point. I spent a lot of time working with tech to get to what I need for my streams, to get everything set up. But I don't do any maintenance, right? The only maintenance I do is maybe once a month cleaning all the spit off my screen, because I spit when I just spat right then, actually, as I said, spit. I spit a lot when I'm speaking, and by the end of the month, this thing's a war zone in front of me, and the camera's a war zone, and I lift everything up, and I dust it, and I clean it down, turn everything off, and clear all the spit off. But I don't go and check things such as, you know, vital things such as the antenna. Like, that's pretty critical, right? I should be up there. In fact, I should be drilling a hole through the ceiling here and making this official, because I wasn't going to use this way. But as you can see, this door doesn't close because the cables go through it. So I haven't been able to shut that door in a year and a half. And maybe I should just drill a hole through there and feed the wires through. But I don't know. I haven't done that. I'm happy with the way things work. It works for me here on my live streams, both here and on DLive. And that's the other thing I want to mention. Today on the DLive, streaming from Stevan. Now, you've already seen that stream on YouTube right here on the channel. We did the Culburra Beach IRL stream. We did it on Saturday last week. Well, like I said, we're going to be doing the repeat stream on DLive. It's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have music while we drive. We're going to have a cap game. It's going to be a little bit more loosey-magoose, whereas YouTube's a little bit more pull the reins in, make sure you do everything officially. The DLive equivalent is going to be more for the givers. Like, the YouTube is more for longevity and for searchability and for me building that concept of streaming from Stevan out and then approaching brands. The DLive is going to be like, all right, we're here to have fun. This is going to be cool. So that's happening today. I want to show you, in case you're not aware of my DLive, this is what the channel looks like right now. I normally run a rerun when I'm not live, but for the IRL content, I've decided to put up an offline banner which explains it, and it's like a landing page, I guess. People might come in and see it and go, "Oh shit, this is going to be one of those IRL streams. Cool, I'll stick around for that." So it's clearly here, IRL stream from Culburra Beach, Friday the 24th of July, which is today, 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, we're not in daylight savings right now. It's a standard time. I'll make that larger. And the reason I've got that there is, and the day is because whenever I see like a streamer that's not in my time zone, not only do they say, "Oh, it's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time." It's like, great. What date? Not what day. I don't care if it's going to be Friday Pacific Standard Time at 11 a.m. I need to know what the date is, because that date might not be the date that it is here. So I've got it, Friday the 24th of July in Australian Eastern Standard Time at 2 p.m. If you want to come across and watch that, in the chit chat right now, I've put a little linky poo to my DLive channel. That's where you can find all that information. I am super, super excited to be doing this. The IRL content is really what I want to push here on the channel. And like I said, we've done the Culburra Beach one on YouTube. Now we're doing the Culburra Beach one on DLive. And then there'll be a week off. And the next week, we'll go ahead and do Orient Point, YouTube. And the week after, Orient Point, DLive. And then there'll be a week off. And then we'll do Crookhaven Heads, YouTube. And then a week, Crookhaven Heads, DLive. Then a week off. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's how we're going to do it. And it's all going to be based around the weather forecast. Today, I probably wouldn't want to do this on a Friday, but it's going to rain Saturday and Sunday. And so I've got to do it today. It's going to be fun. I got a couple of jacks already in the freezer ready to go. Yeah, streaming from Stevan. So folks, that's what's happening. There are the little housekeeping things I wanted to address here on the stream. There was one other thing I was going to hit. What was it? And I can't recall. I'm going to be doing a story about the IRL stream. Just for those that, like, I think my YouTube stories are gaining traction. A lot of people watch them. More people watch them than watch my daily vlogs, which kind of leads me into bit of a decision, right? At the end of this daily vlog cycle, you know what? Maybe there'll be a daily story. Although I already do that anyway, and it's super easy to do. Anyway, we can talk about that as we get nearer and closer to that time. But I want to address the chit chat because that's what we're here for on a Gives a Minute YouTube stream. We're gonna go up to the top of the chit chat. Looks like this. I began with hello the internet, Mindy. Hello the Banon. You sure did pick a controversial subject for today's stream. I personally have strong feelings. Should be fun. Mindy, thank you. And the reason this is important right now is because as of midnight Wednesday night, so arguably Thursday morning, Australia time, 12 o'clock, 12:01 a.m., it is now mandatory to wear a face mask in Melbourne, not Victoria. I keep saying Victoria. I say Victoria because it gives you the, you see that spit coming out, by the way, a big arcing spitball. Victoria, it tells you where Melbourne is if you're not in Australia. If you might think Melbourne could be, and there's Melbourne in I think there's a Melbourne in Canada, in Ontario. Anyway, it's Victoria, the state of Victoria in Australia, and the city of Melbourne, plus another outlying suburb which has been pretty badly hit. These places, as of now, as we speak, if you go out in public, and you shouldn't be, but you're allowed to go out for 4 different reasons. If you are out in public for one of those 4 reasons, and you're not wearing a mask, you can cop a $200 fine. And if you're out in public and not wearing a mask, and it's not one of those 4 reasons, you can cop a $1,600 fine. So this shit's big, right? And I wanted to touch into it as of one full day of this mask thing. We got some Melbournians, they call them. It's a silly word. We got some Melbournians on the Gives a Minute channel. I'm hoping Hendrik's awake. I know he's probably still awake from last night, maybe. But maybe Tim will be able to shed some light on what he's seen. He's been driving. He's got to take his son to school and whatnot. I just thought this was important to have this discussion. Now, my views on it are very strong. Even though we don't have to wear masks here I'm in New South Wales. I'm not in Victoria. We're in the next state above Victoria, of which there's a closed border between the two. And that's kind of unique for Australia. We've never closed our borders like that. We're not like, it's not like the borders in Europe, right? You don't show a passport or anything. In fact, our borders are so chilled because it's not even a border. It's just, you're just going further into the country, if you like. But, you go across the Victoria, South Australia border, you got to surrender all your fresh fruit and vegetables, but that's because they got a fruit fly issue. You don't have to, it's funny, you got to show them how many apples you got, but you don't have to bring a passport or anything. You might find that funny, but that's just the way the country is. So we've never had a border shut like it is now. So there's a border closing, and it's mandatory mask wearing in Victoria, in Melbourne, and in New South Wales, we don't have to. So I'm curious as to see when that extends north to where I am, and they say, dude, you have to wear a mask. We haven't yet. So that's why I think this is an interesting time to look at this. Mindy, are you going to be in need of a mask? There you go. And I said not in New South Wales, but if it does come to that, I said we are allowed to make our own. And you're basically been told to make anything that covers your face. Now, I know, Mindy, you work in healthcare, and if the channel doesn't know, she's an ultrasound technologist, so she's in the healthcare industry. She knows what you need to do with these homemade masks. You need a 3-ply version. We'll get into that, but it's interesting that that's not what they're telling us, right? Our government's not saying that, unless, and I got to plead ignorance, unless the message has changed slightly. That's not what we were told. We were told just to wear anything that covers your mouth. I mean, theoretically, at that point, you could just wear your hands, right? That's covering your mouth, right? I'm not trying to be facetious, but I'm just saying, like, from the moment this thing popped off, definitely in Australia anyway, we got mixed messages about everything. Confusing mixed messages. The classic one that I've hit on many times was, this goes back to like March. They were saying in Australia, two things. They were saying schools are open, don't send your kids to school. That's confusing, right? Schools are open, but don't send your kids to school. And then the other thing they were saying was you should only leave, and this is back in March, they were saying that you should only leave your home if you have an essential, if you're what we consider an essential worker. And then the next day, the government said anybody with a job is considered an essential worker. What the hell? Like, how? What kind of a mixed message is that? You should only leave your, and this was one of the 3 or 4 reasons, but it was, you should only leave your home if you are considered an essential worker. And then the whole state, the whole country went, what does that mean? What's an essential worker? And the government came out and said anybody with a job is an essential worker. So just go about business as usual, basically. And then they were like, yeah, but you can go and get your hair cut, but you can't stay in the salon for more than 30 minutes. You can't get a haircut what if you've got a massive mullet and it's going to take longer to trim that sucker? You might need more than 30 minutes. Nah, you can cop a fine for that. I don't think the virus is wondering about 30 minutes and 28 minutes, right? And what I'm illustrating is it was very confusing. Very confusing. Nobody knew, nobody understood why. I remember going to the liquor store, and I remember there was a staircase. This is Dan Murphy's in Menai for those that play in the area. I was trying to go up the staircase from the car park area to the Dan Murphy's to get some Jack, of which there was none. The girls took the 2 last bottles, and as I got to the sort of like the flat part at the bottom of the stairs where you'd land a stair ollie if you were gonna ollie that set, I looked up and I saw a woman come around the corner, and she didn't make any attempt to stop or to like acknowledge that if we both keep walking, we're going to encounter each other on the stairwell, and we're not going to be distancing because the stairwell's like, 4 feet wide. So we're going to have to be brushing shoulders. And I looked up and I went, whoa, 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 whoa. And she's looking at me and I'm like, aren't you going to wait? I'm obviously here first. And if you keep walking, we're not going to social distance. And she's just like, and she just walked down the stairs. And that was in March. And I was like, okay, well, all right. And here we are in July, mandatory masks. So you carefree woman at Dan Murphy's, you've only got yourself to blame. Probably from Victoria on holiday up here as well, you know what I'm saying? Mindy says, if you make your own mask, make sure you make it out of cotton and make it 2 or 3 ply, because that way you're not just protecting people around you in case you have it, but you're also giving yourself some protection, because cotton has been found to have a very harsh environment for the virus particles. Okay, the absorbent nature of cotton appears to degrade the outer fatty shell of the virus, causing it to fall apart. Okay. I mean, this is interesting, right? This is the kind of stuff that they probably should have said back in January. Just saying. A paper I saw a while back said that when tested, the virus only lived for a couple of seconds on cotton. That's Mindy speaking. And I asked, how long does it live in the air? Because I've been told that if you have the virus and you cough without, right, you don't do the right thing and you cough, and that thing projectiles 3 or 4 feet in the air, the thing can float around and someone can walk into that. And essentially, if you're walking past someone, I've done this. I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise outside. I've done this forever. I always breathe out. If someone's coughing and spluttering, this is way before Corona, right? Just general health. If someone's coughing and I'm walking past them, I go, as I walk past them, not audibly, but just in my own head. And I figure, I got 2 reasons I do this, but I figure that if you're breathing out, you can't breathe anything in. It's like when you jump off a cliff into the water, right? Like a free jump or whatever they call it, a jump rock. If you jump off a rock into the water, you don't breathe in when you hit the water. You either hold your nose or you breathe out. If you're breathing out, you can't be sucking anything in. That's what I do anyway. But I also thought about that when I was a kid, and I've always wondered this. I wanted Mythbusters to test it. Now, just bear in mind, this is a little crass, right? As a male, when you're taking a piss, you're holding your penis, and you're pissing into the bowl. If your piss touches something of a germed nature, let's just say you're in a public bathroom, public washroom, public restroom, WC, whatever you call it, loo, toilet, dunny, you're having a piss, and there's a big fat turd on the bowl, right? It's been there for 3 days. It's all chunked up. Someone just did what everybody does in those places. Doesn't give a shit. They gave a shit. They didn't give a shit. So you're pissing and your piss touches the shit. I always thought that because you're making a connection between penis and shit, theoretically, germs could climb up the stream back into your urethra, and there you've got R-E-S-P-E-C-T, you got Aretha Franklin all the way up back into your penis, and the next thing you know, you got a disease from taking a piss. Now, of course, you'd have to have some pretty fast-swimming germs to go up against the flow of the urine. How did we get onto this again? How far can germs travel, right? That's the question. That's what I'm trying to illustrate. How far and how fast can germs travel? If you breathe out walking past someone who's coughing, does that mean that you can't get the germs in you? Now you could say, well, dude, they could land in your eye and then the mucous membrane on your eye. So therefore, shut your eyes. Walk past. You might look like a dickhead, but hey, at least you won't be spreading the disease. That's if you don't want to wear a mask. Or wear a mask. This is to you, Dan Murphy's girl. Wear a mask. Anyway, I digress. Mindy says, I think it can live in the air for well over 5 minutes, probably longer than that, maybe days. It can live in the air for days? What? So if I had it and I coughed, it could just float around. This thing doesn't even need gravity, it just floats around? I mean, we're fucked, basically. How far are we into this stream? Not long enough. We're ducked here, folks. We're ducked. If this thing can just hover around and gravity plays no part in it, you know, not only we should be worried, but those dudes on the ISIS should be worried as well right now, the space station. When it settles, that is what will determine how long it lives. But if someone walks by it, they could potentially rouse it back up into the air. So it could hit the ground, and then you could lift it back up. Man, that's what I said in the chat. It's almost unstoppable at that point, right? Almost unstoppable. Once it finds a surface, it clings to it like a burr. Wow, loves to stick to your skin. I said far out, we're screwed. There you go. TKK9090 into the chit chat. G'day TKK90. How you going, man? Okay, Tetris Freak. Now, I'm getting to the bottom of the chat here, folks. I'm getting to the bottom. Tetris Freak in the house. G'day, Tetris Freak. How you going? Hey, Mindy. Hey, lovers. Tim's in the house. G'day, Tim. All the way from Victoria. How you doing, man? How's the mask situation? Did you wear one when you went out to drop your kid off at school? I'll log back in later, just taking the lad to the dental appointment. Well, that's interesting. Take your kid to a dentist. You must have to be wearing a mask at that point, right, Timsky? When you come back in. Tie a sock around your face, Tetris Freak. Right on. Right on. That's a mask. That's a mask. Tetris, where I'm at, bars are open and churches are closed. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? How mixed this is? Benny Crawford. Hey, Benny. Good morning, Ben on Mindy, Tim, Tetris, TKK. You get a cheers for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why you get one. Nobody else got one. Gil now. Gil now? I'm going to say, hey, Poznansky. Gil now. How you going, Gil? Also in Victoria, Gil, you got your mask on, my friend? If you go outside the door, you must put a mask on. You can have one off now, but, you know. The people making the policy there probably haven't even seen the research. Maybe. I've noticed your hideous head is not so hideous anymore. I would suggest that hasn't cleaned up as much as I would have liked, to be honest, Tetris. JL Dragonman. Hey, JL Dragonman. How you going, buddy? Mindy, there are many publications with fresh research on it. It's hard to get your mind around. Everything's changing. Like, the research is changing. I get that. Benny says, hey, Gil, JL. Hey, JL. Hey, Benny. Hey, how are you? Get how many? Charlotte Rose in the house. Charlotte Rose, good morning with the love hearts. Morning, Charlotte. Hey, Rose, Benny. Alexander. Hello, Alexander. Good to see you. Nice to have you. Welcome to the stream. And that's up to speed on the chit chat there, folks. Let me bring the chat on screen for us all to play along. So that's where we're at right now, the mandatory mask situation. But more exciting is my IRL stream coming up on DLive tonight, 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. 2 p.m. If you want to see IRL content from Culburra Beach on DLive, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to show you all about it. Hey, shit, I already closed it. Crikey, my friend. Hang on. Can I just open up this last page? I'd closed it. Recently closed window. Recently closed tab. This is it, folks. So this is my IRL stream coming up today on DLive. If you're interested in that content, I urge you to go across there at 2 p.m. today for IRL streaming from Steve Ann. We've already done the Culburra Beach edition here on YouTube. We're doing the Culburra Beach edition on DLive today. Shit yeah! 2 p.m. Now, folks, let's move into the content here a little more in depth. I have found a series of news reports. The first one is, we're going to look at this from like the lead-in, I guess. This is the lead-in to the mandatory mask wearing. So this was published on the 20th of July. The 20th, that's 4 days ago. Now, we've had 24 hours of mandatory mask wearing in Melbourne, but this is what they were talking about as we were leading up to that.
Melbourne residents are scrambling to buy masks and even panic buying fabric to make their own as the city battles to stop its second wave outbreak. There have been 275 new cases recorded in Victoria and another death, a woman in her 80s. Now, with less than 48 hours until it becomes law to wear a mask or a face covering, shops are selling out. From Thursday, they will be mandatory for anyone leaving their home in Melbourne and the Mitchell Shire. And joining us now is infectious diseases expert, Associate Professor Sanjaya Senanayake.
Look how worried this reporter looks. Her face is, she's worried, right? Glad to be back with you all. Shyla Mindy, there you go. Alexander, howdy JL. Glad to hang you out, Alexander. More the merrier. Exactly, Mindy.
Sanjay, good morning, welcome. The state government has ordered 1.3 million reusable masks for Victorians who need them. But for everyone else and people in New South Wales who are starting to become worried about this, what do you recommend on masks?
Right. Hi, Sam. So for the general community, I would recommend a reusable 3-layer mask.
That's exactly what Mindy said in the chat. G'day, Ethan. Do cloth masks actually work? I mean, so depends when you ask, right? If you had have asked me that in February, I would have said any mask works. If you ask me that now, I would say apparently not. Apparently not.
And in fact, the Department of Health and Human Services website in Victoria has a beautiful section on it, including...
Well, there you go. Mindy says, yes, they do. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I'm still confused, right? I'm hearing the 3-layer mask, cotton, 3-layered, but now we're hearing cloth mask also, like 1 layer of cloth. So basically, you could make a mask out of your shirt, and you're good. Gil says, they do, Ethan, lowers the chance of transmission with hand washing. Benny, in a fractal sense, if the human body is a planet and the virus is a smaller version of life, it's as though the virus has worked out how to move into space from planet to planet. No, your screen didn't freeze then. I was just blown away by that. Benny, it's early in the morning, man. You're doing your best thinking right now. Dude, you should get up in the morning and write this shit down. You've just taken us all on a journey right there, man. I don't normally have that kind of a thought till later in the evening, possibly while I'm about to go to sleep. That's really interesting. Let me read that again. In a fractal sense, if the human body is a planet and the virus is a smaller version of life, it's as though the virus has worked out how to move into space from planet to planet. Yeah, every body is a planet, and it's moving, and the space is the spaces in between. I get you, man. Dude, that's deep. Mindy says cotton is the best. Hendrik in the house. G'day, Hendrik. We were talking about you earlier, man. We're talking about you as a fellow Victorian. How's your mask going, man? You got one handy? You got to wear it now, right? How's that going for you? We're watching a couple of different reports here. We're watching one a little earlier, and then one leading up, and then one as this thing rolls out. So very interesting stuff, folks. What an age we live in.
Including how to make your own mask. So you have an outer layer with polypropylene that's water resistant, an inner layer that's water absorbent with cotton, and then a middle cotton or polypropylene layer which acts as a filter. And you can make that yourself, but there are a number of retail outlets which offer it. As you said in the intro, they might be becoming short, but most pharmacies might even have a group of or a pack of disposable ones that you can use till your reusable one is available.
Okay, so what's the advice for children? Should they be covering up as well?
All right, here we go. This is where it's going to get confusing. Children, they're not considered virus spreaders. There have been. I've been considering such things, Benny. I like how you think at that point. I'm just saying I'm not that focused in the morning. I'm normally more alert to that kind of stuff later in the night. There you go, Hendrik. Good morning, Hendrik. JL Dragonman. Hey, Hendrik. Alexander. So we need an essential biodome, but sometimes the virus and life slips through. We need an ice wall, don't we? Basically, we need to be the flat Earth. And we need an ice wall all around us, essentially. Shit. Hendrik says, I got a scarf and some disposable masks. Can't get reusable ones. They're out of stock.
Look, for a young child, this is very difficult to do, to wear a mask for various reasons. And we also know that the evidence so far shows that children aren't big transmitters of this infection, and they don't tend to get severe illness if they do get it. So certainly for the younger children,
you see that mixed message. We've heard reports from outside Australia of children dying with COVID.
It shouldn't be an issue, but maybe the year 11 and 12 students who are going back to school, who are physiologically closer to adults and can deal with a mask, then it may be a reasonable thing.
Okay, what's your advice to people in Sydney, which is the next hotspot?
So in case you're wondering, Sydney is kind of my city where I grew up. I'm not there now, but it's about 1,000 kilometres to the north of Melbourne where this is popping off. So we're talking two different states here across the border. A biodome, the Pauly Shore movie. There you go. Pauly Shore. Mindy, brilliant, Benon. We just need an ice wall. Don't get the conspiracy theorists started on that, right? Don't get them started. Someone will make a story about that, a book about that.
Imagine they're not saying that yet, but it looks like it's headed that way. Should people in Sydney start to wear masks when they're outside?
Look, yes is the short answer, Sam. And I guess we have to look at this virus, and we're 6 months down the track. We don't have a vaccine. We don't have an effective medication everyone in the community can use. So we have to use case detection, physical distancing, and any other measures. And we now know that masks are effective.
You hear that? We now know that masks are effective. So back in January, February, March, they were actually saying to us, only wear a mask if you show symptoms. Otherwise, you don't need to. Now, the exact opposite is what we're hearing. Wear a mask. It's pretty interesting, huh? Ethan, what about schools having kids go back to school, gets their parents sick and die? Do you know what? You know what I've seen, Ethan? The school kids are told not to wear a mask. The school teachers are told not to wear a mask. And we've heard this thing about if you go out and you're fitness, you're jogging, running, right? Running. You don't need to wear a mask. I just think that our government has been, and in particular Australia, has been so mixed with what they've been telling us. So crazy. Like we're going to look back on this in years to come and go, can you remember those directives they gave us? Wow, they were messed up. Like, what about those people getting fined in Sydney for being at a park with, like, they had 3 people or something and they were sitting down too long or something. Like some people got a fine for staying in the park too long. It's like, I don't think the virus is worried about your Casio wristwatch. Did you see where 7 News is using hospital footage from another country saying it's Oz Hospital? I didn't see that, Charlotte. I didn't see that. Wow. You got a link to that? It's also complicated whether... Oh, do you mean way back in the beginning when they put the footage of Italy and you could see it because it was they flipped the screen? Alexander, it's also complicated whether people die from the COVID or if they die with COVID. That's a fair point, whether they die from it or they die with it. I mean, yeah, that's true. Benny, we may end up walking around in PPE spacesuits to go anywhere. The PPE fashion will begin. I want some with bell bottoms. Bell bottoms. Channel 7 is the worst. Hendrik, Gil says, time to finish my spacesuit, thinking the helmet and visor would be a good barrier. Dude, you know who's got the most protection here? The Muslims. There, I said it. They got the full covering, right? They're walking around going, fuck you all. Hey, we're completely covered here. And we've been covered for so long that, you know, they should be singing songs of rejoicing. Like we've been trying to tell you guys to cover everything up. And it's not just for religious reasons, it's now a health reason as well. And we're all wearing the mask, right? Just why don't you go the whole thing and just have a little slit? We could all be stealth and all be healthy. Stealth, could call it the stealth health suit. The stealth health suit. That'd be perfect. What about if you're eating or drinking, you don't wear a mask? Yeah, that's true, Ethan. Like, these are questions that I don't think people are asking. Like, if you're out in public and you're out for one of those 4 legitimate reasons and you're wearing a mask, what, you're not allowed to eat? You can't have a sip from your coffee? You physically can't do both. You either take the mask off and spread the disease and have a sip of coffee and put it back on, or you don't do that at all. It's a very good question, man. I guess the virus goes on vacation, yeah. Funny, like, we all be like wearing these protection bodysuits, space outfits with helmets. Imagine trying to pick up in a bar or something when you getting intimate and suddenly your helmet clashes and it's like, I'd love to catch up with you and swap saliva, but that's not going to happen, so let's just tap helmets. Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down, I didn't mean it like that. Tap helmets, come on. Tap helmets. Jesus. This is YouTube. This kind of conversation should be saved for DLive. Well, it's best to eat at home and not go out at restaurants. If you're eating out, it's best to be outside so you can socially distance and there's air movement. Mindy, didn't you go to a restaurant just recently though? Didn't you just go to a pretty fancy restaurant? That's what I'm not saying that like in any. I'm not having a crack at you. I'm just saying matter of factly. So you were out dining just a week ago. This has been popping off since January. So when is it going to be a thing that we put in place flatlined? I don't think we're going to. Laugh my ass off. I can't post links. It's not an admin. I think I know which one you're referring to though, Charlotte Rose. Social distancing is really the most effective thing out there, Alexander. Yeah. Straws, people drink with a straw. Hang on, we got rid of those things. Right, that's true. We did. We got rid of the straws. The straw would have been perfect right now. Hashtag bring back the straw. You could slide it straight through the edge. You know what we need? We need those twirly, swirly, quirly straws that have the spiral in it. You could just have it. You could actually have it under your mask, and it could be spiraling around and down into your Starbucks, right? And you could just be like, and you'd see the Starbucks go swiffing around. Shit. That's song, tap helmets, piece of meat. Oh my goodness, Charlotte. But yeah, I think that'll be on the Pointy Logo Band album. I did, and we were the only ones in the restaurant. But I mean, if we're saying that you shouldn't be eating out because you got to take your mask off, like you're in a restaurant, there's chefs preparing food, you're in there dining, you're the only ones there, the virus is still spreading. I don't know. Chad's in the house. G'day, Chad. And Mindy, I had my mask on the whole time except when I was eating. If I wanted to talk, I'd put the mask on. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but either it's on or it's off. The virus knows no difference.
So I think whenever in Australia we have these sharp bursts or surges in cases, masks should be part of that strategy, but they shouldn't be there all the time. Once the outbreak is over, then you can stop wearing masks.
Okay, it is always good to speak to you. You always speak so much sense. And Jason and Anka, thank you for your time again today.
Wow.
I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
She's into him, isn't she?
Thank you, Sam.
There you go, folks. That's the first one I wanted to watch. I do have another one this is pre-mandatory mask rollout. So we've got a title here. Victorian COVID-19 cases up 484 as face mask deadline looms. Now, this is all doom and gloom here, folks, but that's the nature of the beast. I know, I completely agree, and I would not have gone except my friend and I really wanted to be there for her birthday. There you go. Benny says use codes GEA for the song with a C to A change. G, E, and A. I could do that. C to A. Yep. I've got to head out. Enjoy the stream, everyone. No worries,
Steak?
Alexander.
Money's too tight for steak.
Steak?
Cut of meat, 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 bacon, bacon.
Shut up. Thank you. I'm not laughing at you giving me a super chat. I'm laughing at the cut of meat, cut of meat, cut of meat, cut of meat, bacon, bacon. Thank you so much for the $8, Charlotte. Much appreciated. Cut of meat, cut of meat. All right, folks, this is doom and... The cut of meat's fun, but this is doom and gloom.
Today is the worst day in Victoria's virus fight. There's a record 484 new cases and 2 more deaths. Many more people are in hospital, as is the number of patients in intensive care. It's been revealed an alarming number of people who became sick did not isolate. Let's take a listen to the Premier and Chief Health Officer.
From 3,810 cases, which are the cases between the 7th of July and the 21st of July, I'm very unhappy and very sad to have to report that nearly 9 in 10, or 3,400 cases, did not isolate between when they first felt sick and when they went to get a test. That means people have felt unwell and just gone about their business. They have gone out shopping, they have gone to work, they have been at the height of their infectivity, and they have just continued on as usual.
Why would you think that would be? If I'm going to put out, if I'm going to sort of critique this, why would you think that would be? People are suffering. People are suffering financially here. That's why why would you risk your life? Because you need to. You got a family to feed. You got things to pay, bills to pay. That's why people are pushing it. Folks, I don't want to spread diseases, but my heater is on in here and it's way too hot. I've got to turn this thing off. 1 second. Turn that heat off, man. I don't want to spread any infectious diseases here. Yeah. Wait, he said it like 3,000 total cases in Melbourne? 3,000 total cases, not deaths, but infections.
Money's too tight for steak.
Steak?
Cut of meat, cut of meat, cut of meat, taco.
TKK9090, thank you for the super chat, my friend. $5 there. Appreciate you, buddy. Cut of meat, cut of meat, cut of meat, taco. I just had to. Oh, that's funny. Thank you so much, man. Much appreciated. Let's continue with this doom and gloom.
The one and only thing that you can and must do when you feel sick is to go and get tested.
But that's not staying home, right? I was told literally, if you feel sick, do not go and get tested. Stay at home for 2 weeks and then get tested. They were saying, if you feel sick, do not go into public. Stay at home. Don't go and get tested. 2-week mandatory isolation and then go and get tested. This is the exact opposite message here.
Nothing.
Watch this message.
Continued on as usual. The one and only thing that you can and must do when you feel sick is to go and get tested.
I could literally butt that against the exact opposite message told earlier in this year. If you feel sick, stay at home. Do not get tested. Mandatory isolate for 14 days and then get tested. Why are we hearing the different message now? Completely the opposite. If you feel sick, the one thing you must do is go and get tested. So you're taking that out in the public. You know what? It's weird. It's weird, right? We are this deep in and we keep hearing new numbers, and it's because of mixed messages just like this. This is completely... It's clear, right? It's clear how mixed the messages have been. You can't deny that. Like I had it and I was told to not go and get tested. I stayed indoors for 2 weeks until I felt better. Crazy. I think we had 3,200 new cases reported yesterday and 64 deaths yesterday. Interesting. Benny's got a split. No worries, Benny. I've got to fly, folks. Have a great day or evening. I have a busy day.
Money's too tight for steak.
Steak?
Meat chicken leg.
Charlotte Rose. Thank you for the meat chicken leg super chat. Meat chicken leg. Thank you, Charlotte. Much appreciation. Radio 3AW yesterday had a doctor on air discussing the differences in face masks and their failings in design or construction materials. It addressed the mask type confusion perfectly. Millsy in the house. G'day, Millsy. How are you? I guess that is because testing had become more streamlined and reliable. Maybe, but they were saying don't put it out in public. Like if you have the symptoms, and they said the only reason you should go and get tested is if you have respiratory symptoms. If you show any of the other symptoms, stay home unless you can't breathe, which is pretty clear. You need 000 or 911 at that point. The mixed messages is probably because they now have enough tests to test everyone. Yeah. But the thing with that, again, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but the virus doesn't know that. And where are we? We're 7 months down the track and the virus is spreading harder and faster. So the virus doesn't know that we're testing more or less. That the virus doesn't care, right? The virus has no feelings. Also for capacity, so the hospitals weren't overwhelmed with panicking people. I mean, yeah, true, Chad, true. Meat, chicken leg. I'm dead.
Nothing else is acceptable. You must go and get tested when you feel sick. That is the only thing that you can and must do. And if people don't do that, then we will continue to see numbers increase.
To go to a particular model of lockdown that worked for one country at one point in time is not the solution. It may well be that it's an awful impost on the economy and on people's lives with no material benefit if we go to a New Zealand-style lockdown.
Live now to reporter Charnel Valla. And Charnel, let's dig into those numbers. How many people are ignoring the rules?
Well, Mike, we've all known the rules from day one.
Chad, I don't think there's any evidence that people are getting the virus by getting tested. That's not what I was saying. I was saying that if you have the virus and you go out in public, even to get tested, you're then passing the virus on. And that was the clear message they were giving us in February, March. They were saying, if you... I literally could find a news report, probably by the same person, right? Exactly the same thing, opposite message. If you have symptoms, do not leave home. Mandatory isolate for 14 days. The only time you should leave home is if you have respiratory issues, you can't breathe. Then you should go and call 000 and go, that's 911, go and get emergency help.
But when you look at these figures, it's clear people just aren't getting the message. 89% of
people aren't getting the message because you keep changing it. That's the trouble. You keep changing the message.
That's people who felt some kind of symptoms, a sore throat or a fever. They waited 3 days before they went and got tested.
They were told to do that. Can't you? Oh, this is crazy. Perhaps it would help if they explained that the situation is evolving. But that's, Chad, I'm again, I don't want to come across like I'm Corona supporting or anything. I'm not. I'm trying to understand why we're still doing this 6 months in. And I think the reason we're still having increasing numbers is because the message is so mixed. The information, the guidance is so convoluted. It changes nearly every couple of weeks. We get a different guidance. We get a different guideline. Yeah, I mean, I know it because I'm watching it, right? We've engaged this, we've seen this, and we've seen it change so incredibly fast. Millsy, Corona sucks. The price for the camera I want, it's gone up crazy. Yeah. Mindy, if you're sick, you simply get in your car and drive to a testing site. You don't leave your car. They come to your car and take a sample, and they're being protected by PPP. So that's definitely something they've added, right? And we've seen that in Australia as well. Mobile testing places, sure. But you can't. This report where they're making out that people are the problem. It's not. It's because the message is the problem. The message has been so convoluted from day one. People are confused.
3 days out and about in the community. But on top of that, a more alarming statistic, 50%, well, more than 50% of those people went and got tested, and then they didn't stay home and isolate and wait for their results. People have been going shopping and they've been going to work. But the government acknowledges that some people may have been going to work because if they don't turn up for that shift, they don't get paid because they don't have access to sick leave. That has pushed the Premier to remind people about that hardship payment that is available if you test positive to COVID-19.
If your bank balance is driving you to make bad decisions, then that $1,500 payment is there. And we will make sure that they are processed as fast as they can be so that people no longer have to make those sorts of choices.
That's life, though. You make... Sorry to be facetious here and a Debbie Downer, but you make those choices every day by living. That's called life, right? Everybody does it.
And Mike, it isn't just people doing the wrong thing around testing. Of course, police have been out and about at those checkpoints and pulling people over in vehicles, asking where they are going. In the last 24 hours, they have issued 61 fines. Some of those include multiple people who were caught at a party, a group of people who were caught consuming alcohol while sitting on a park bench in this city, and another person, Mike, would you believe it, a keen surfer who was caught driving from Strathmore to the Surf Coast.
Idiot. Chanel Vella, thank you very much.
Whoa, 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 whoa. This guy just called him an idiot?
And another person, Mike, would you believe it, a keen surfer who was caught driving from Strathmore to the Surf Coast.
What? So hang on. If you have symptoms of the disease, it's okay for you to get in your car and drive to a testing site and get tested and then return home. But if you are not having symptoms, you're feeling healthy, you're not allowed to get in your car and go to the coast and have a surf, where we know that the ocean is a safe place because of the ultraviolet light, and they've even said you can swim, you can surf, they said you can do these things as long as you don't do them with multiple people. So why is this guy an idiot? Why are they calling him an idiot on news? When he's basically following the guidelines. He's not getting out of his vehicle, he's driving from his place to the coast where it's safe, and he's not doing it with multiple people. Yet he's branded an idiot, but if someone had the disease and showed symptoms and they got in their car and they drove to the testing site, they're a savior of the freaking planet. I tell you, it's a mixed message here, folks.
Idiot. Chanel Vella, thank you very
idiot.
much. The countdown is on until people in Melbourne and the Mitchell Shire must wear a mask every time they leave their house. Reporter Paul Dowsley is across the details. And Paul, many people are already on board.
Mike, there seems to have been a significant shift today in just how many people are wearing masks.
This is good. At least they're leading by example. We've seen news reports before where they're talking about the importance of wearing a mask and the reporter will have the mask down under their neck. It's like, yeah, you're kind of missing the point there, girl. But this is good.
On the streets of Melbourne, they now vastly outnumber those who aren't. It is less than 8 hours to go before this significant new measure in our fight against coronavirus. About 5 million.
The salt would make the ocean safe as well. That's because the surfer left Greater Melbourne. What difference does it make, Hendrik? What difference does it make where you go if you're in your car and the end destination is a safe zone, the coast? Yet he gets branded an idiot. And I'm not just defending him because he's a surfer. Not doing that at all. I'm just saying, why is he an idiot? And anybody else that has the virus and drives around is fine. I haven't seen any research on saltwater effectiveness on the virus particle, but that would make sense that the salt would affect the fatty layer. Yeah. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to defend him because I'm surfing as well. I'm just saying, like I say all the time, here there's no signs of it. Like the beach is packed. There's holidaymakers. There's every weekend there's people surfing. They got the flags up, right? They got the safety flags up. It's business as usual here. Yet that guy's an idiot for driving to the surf coast. Okay.
Of us must cover up when out of the home. The state government sees it as a simple measure to help drive cover up when out of the home. The state government
pushing Mongo
sees it as a simple measure to help drive down community transmissions. Today we saw inside a warehouse where some of the 1.2 million single-use masks ordered by the state government for teachers and students.
Stop the spread into regional Victoria. I mean, Hendrik, I don't get it. What I'm trying to say is that if that guy's an idiot for practicing a pastime which has been approved, surfing's fine, swimming's fine. Just don't do it with multiple people. That's fine. So why is the drive to the beach the problem? That's what I'm trying to say here.
Are being stockpiled. They've also ordered
multiple
almost
people working behind the reporter without a mask.
Reusable masks. This new law is just for people in Melbourne and Mitchell Shire, and there are exemptions. Kids under 12, those with medical conditions, and you can take it off for running and, of course, eating. If you don't, though, wear it when you should, there is a fine of $200.
It's a necessary evil, I presume. I'm happy to go with it, but I'll just wait until tonight.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
We don't have a lot of masks, I think, to go around, so we're a little bit worried about running out.
Premier Daniel Andrews this afternoon said you may be turned around at supermarkets if you try to walk in without a mask. But supermarkets dispute that. They say they've decided not to police mandatory masks themselves. It's simply too difficult for staff to verify people with medical conditions. The Premier said not wearing a mask is a silly choice.
I'm offended by masks. Wait until we hear that. Wait until there's a hashtag offended by masks. I'm just saying, it's 2020. It's coming. It's coming.
He said he hopes police don't have to enforce this law and people simply do the right thing. Mike?
We can't leave Melbourne full stop. Yeah, interesting. I mean, I disagree with that. I think that's crazy. Especially if you're saying you're saying you can't leave Melbourne full stop except for those 4 reasons, right? So there's 4 reasons why you can leave Melbourne. So actually, you can leave Melbourne.
Paul, thank you. Victoria's aged care sector is in crisis with COVID cases in 68 services. The federal government has now intervened in 1, but the Healthcare Workers Union says it's come too late, predicting many more Victorians will die in coming weeks. Laurel Irving reports.
You know what, folks?
The COVID situation.
Let's bump out of this because that's not the mask-related story, but we do have other mask-related stories we want to get into. This one here, this is from the 23rd of July, so this is yesterday. This is when masks are now mandatory. This is when it's just happened, right? So we're getting up to speed here.
Victoria has posted its highest number of coronavirus cases since the crisis began. 484 new infections were recorded yesterday. There are more than 3,400 active cases. 205 Victorians are in hospital, 40 in intensive care. The state's death toll has risen to 44. Melbourne has been in lockdown for 2 weeks.
Chad says, we've already got people trying to protest masks here in LA. I won't be surfing Huntington Beach anytime soon because of it. Yeah. I mean, I think I'll be fine here surfing Culburra Beach, but if I can go surfing, why can't that idiot go surfing?
But case numbers haven't dropped. Officials say this is because people are still ignoring the rules. Nearly 9 out of 10 Victorians who tested positive in the past 2 weeks felt sick but did not isolate before getting tested. They went to work, shopped and spent time with family during their most infectious period. 53% of recent positive cases did not isolate while waiting for their test.
I think the most criminal thing here is this stupid moving graphic that they've been doing for the last 2 months. Just this morphing graphic on the screen. Just hold it up still. Gil, I think everyone should wear a mask regardless of COVID. I'm sick of looking at people and all hail the robots and our new overlords. San Diego beaches are open just like Yalola and Wind and Sea. Yep, okay, interesting. And like I tell you, the beaches haven't closed here. This beach has never closed at all during this pandemic.
Result. In New South Wales, there are 16 new cases, all from known sources. 91 people are being treated, 2 are in intensive care. This map shows the gradual reappearance of cases over the last fortnight. Authorities say the next few weeks are critical in stopping community transmission. All up, 53 cases are linked to the Crossroads Hotel in Casula. 37
LA beaches are open as well, but Orange County is a hot zone.
At Wetherill Park. 8 are linked to the Bateman's Bay Soldiers Club, and genetic sequencing of the virus shows all these clusters are linked to virus strains in Melbourne.
Thanks, Melbourne. It's all about movement, no virus spread. I mean, yeah, but where was that guidance when the flights were still open into Australia and out of Australia? Like what? Where was that movement situation when we really needed it? There wasn't one, right? Where was that movement situation when that ship was docked in Sydney and people were allowed to go on and off whenever they pleased? Wasn't.
Live now to our team of reporters. First to Nathan Templeton in Melbourne, where masks are now mandatory. Nathan, are people following that new rule?
Yeah, it looks like a pretty high rate of compliance here in the city. Now, we've been here for well over 3 hours now and only seen a handful of people not wearing masks, as you saw in that live shot just a few moments ago. Police were speaking to a homeless woman. It looked like they gave her a warning. She then wrapped her scarf around her face and was told to go off and organise a mask for herself. So we don't believe that she was fined. But as you can see here, everyone who's crossing the road at the moment is wearing a mask. Normally it would be much busier in this outside Flinders Street station, so looks like people are staying home, which is a good thing, but it's a $200 fine for anyone who doesn't have a valid reason to not cover their face. Now, those laws apply to the outdoors, but a number of retailers, including Kmart and Bunnings, say they will refuse entry to anyone not wearing a mask. The supermarkets, Coles and Woolworths, say they won't physically stop people from entering because they don't want to put their staff in that situation, but they do expect people to do the right thing. Unfortunately, many Victorians haven't been doing the right thing. Those amazing stats you had, almost 90% of people who have ended up testing positive admitted that they didn't isolate when they were feeling sick, and more than half also didn't quarantine themselves in the period between having their...
Interesting, they showed that graphic twice now. This one's the stationary one. Millsy, okay, I'm back. I just found I got VP. Hey, congrats, man. VP on D-Live. Well played, my friend. For someone who was gonna leave. There you go, man. Congrats, dude. Well done, man. Well played.
Their test and getting their results back. Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt told Sunrise earlier, we've just got to do a lot better than that.
If you are being tested, please self-isolate. If you have the symptoms, isolate. Call ahead, go for the test, do so in a way that's safe, return home. They're the critical things that if you are in that risk space, you can inadvertently spread the disease to...
And we have some new pictures just in the last hour of some vandalism on the office of the Federal Health Minister, Greg Hunt. That's his electoral office in Somerville, in Melbourne's outer southeast. Anti-mask protesters have stuck posters and masks on his windows, telling people not to wear the mask. So obviously some people don't agree, but from what we are seeing so far, it's been a pretty good rate of compliance in the city, Nat.
Gil says, we've been watching this since December 2019, and I agree. No barring of travel spread this all over the globe. Hard to see the numbers grow and see no travel control. Yeah, we all knew that as well. Like we spoke on that, and it's like unbelievable, right? Like if they had have locked down the borders, we wouldn't be here right now. I'm happy to. It was a consideration. I'm happy to have it, but I'm in class, so I cannot celebrate. You'll be celebrating tonight, Millsy.
Anti-mask protesters now. Okay, thank you. Amber Laidler is in Sydney. Amber, residents and staff at an aged care home have been ordered into isolation.
Good morning, Nat. Yes, this is after an aged care worker here at the Ashfield Baptist home tested positive to COVID-19. The home has confirmed it was contacted by the virus tracing team last week and told one of their employees potentially had contact with a confirmed COVID-19 case while they were dining at the Thai Rock restaurant in Wetherill Park. That venue is now the source of our state's fastest growing cluster. It's linked to almost 40 cases. And while this staff member worked 3 shifts here while potentially infectious, we're told the risk of transmission is considered very low because the person wasn't showing symptoms at the time and they would have been wearing PPE like a mask, gloves and a gown. Further north, 2 schools and a childcare centre have been closed for a deep clean in Port Stephens with 3 new confirmed cases of coronavirus in the coastal town. The local member has said it's believed all cases are linked to a man in his 60s who contracted the virus from a Sydney visitor. Premier Gladys Berejiklian is now urging all Sydney-siders to reconsider any unnecessary socialising this weekend. She says we're entering a critical phase in trying to contain this second wave, Nat.
Let's go to Bianca Stone at the Queensland-New South Wales border this morning. Bianca, the entire population of Sydney could be shut out of Queensland.
Oh, wow.
Nat, good morning. Sydney-siders could be banned. There's also some suggestion the border may again close to all of New South Wales. We are waiting for that media conference from...
Wait. That's not what happened earlier. The border was closed from Queenslanders coming into New South Wales. It wasn't closed the other way. New South Wales could go to Queensland. Got to go now. Bye all. See you, Tim.
The Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. I've been in contact with her department this morning. They wouldn't confirm or deny those reports, just saying they are constantly monitoring the situation. The situation here in Queensland is vastly different to what it is down in the southern states. Just 1 corona case reported yesterday. That is a returning ADF member who is already in hotel quarantine, so poses no threat. Of course, here on the border, we saw absolute chaos when those 2 hotspots in Western Sydney were declared last week. Police officers here tell me they are ready for anything, and everyone who lives here on the border is getting very used to this traffic congestion, Nat.
Olivia Leeming is in Canberra as the Treasurer prepares to deliver his economic update.
Can I just say, before we get to Olivia Leeming, I think this woman, not this one, the one in Canberra, I think she's really, really pretty. Like whenever I see her on the report, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll listen to this one. I got a thing for this reporter. Just saying.
Olivia, the budget has taken a huge hit.
Reminds me of an ex.
Good morning, Nat. Yes, Australia could be paying off this debt for 30 years.
Do you know what reminds me of my ex? Not so much, well, a little bit of physical, but the way she speaks, she really opens her mouth really largely and speaks very, very clearly.
Treasurer will today unveil the biggest budget deficit since the Second World War, set to be around $90 billion last financial year, around $190 billion this year, with tax revenue plunging and the government, of course, spending a record amount on emergency support to save jobs and businesses. Though it could have been worse if not for a strong performance in our mining sector. China buying up big our iron ore, and the outbreak in Victoria, though, already costing $3.3 billion this quarter. Economists can see these figures are confronting, but insist pushing Australia into deficit is necessary.
I think the deficits that we're seeing at the moment, and yes,
Olivia.
Treasurer's right, they're eye-watering figures, but they are helping the Australian economy, Australian people, at a time of need.
We'll see new forecasts for economic growth as well as unemployment in today's statement ahead of the actual budget, which will include new spending measures in October. That statement to be released at 11 o'clock this morning. Now,
okay, we'll stand by.
Let's keep an eye on Olivia Leeming, and if she fails at her job as a newscaster, then let's try to bring her over to D-Live and feel the gives love. Shit. Folks, there are a couple more reports, but these are rather shorter ones. This one only goes for a minute. This is a little way that Melbourne people have been getting funky, because Melbourne is the city of art, right? The cultural centre of Australia. So they've not only got the mask mandatory, but they're also making it look cool. Of course, Melbourne does this.
A number of Melbourne companies are pivoting and retooling to cope with the demand for face masks. As Alan Rascal discovered, a Hoppers Crossing business has been inundated with requests.
A kaleidoscope of colour making masks fashionable fun. Star Sub Apparel has made sports uniforms since 2012.
You could make sports
but with
colours,
Victoria's COVID restrictions, it's now making custom masks to order. Footy colours are fan favourite.
I never would have thought that we would have, our calling in life would have been making something so small when we used to making jumpers or hoodies.
The company had virtually no work since March. The mask edict made just days ago, prompting it onto a war footing.
The time you said feel the gives love, I thought differently. That time?
We did 150
or the first time?
to date, as I understand it from the guys. It's worth a couple $100,000 to us.
Each mask will set you back $16.50. Fashion houses like Ralph Lauren are making masks available, while some fashion-forward creatives are putting their own design spin on face coverings.
Cool.
Usually in fab footwear, Patrina Hare is now hand-stitching beaded creations.
To make sure that, there was that sort of luxury element and glamorous element where it's all bejewelled so your face sparkles, really.
The bedazzled
Your
look
face
doesn't
sparkles.
demand diamond prices, just $49 a pop. So with companies pivoting due to COVID, the pandemic is proving, much like Katz and myself, many have 9 lives. And after all, we all know I am a company man. Alan Rascal,
Crikey.
9 News.
There you go, folks. Designer masks. Now, there's another report here. Melbourne's mask mentality. This is an interesting report because the Defence Force has been moved in to help the police enforce this mask mandatory wearing situation. So I want to see what that's about as well.
Australian Defence Force personnel have been chatting with drivers at checkpoints for some time, but today troops are out patrolling Melbourne's streets. Live now to reporter Charnel Valla. And Charnel, where will we see them?
Well, Mike, it's impossible not to see them. My crew and I were driving through the city today and this
$50 a
afternoon,
mask,
and we
yeah,
saw
man.
several groups of ADF personnel walking the city streets. They are, of course, accompanied by Victoria Police. They are the ones with the powers to actually find people. But for the most part, the troops are talking to people, reminding them about the restrictions. And it's likely we could see these troops in local areas and local hotspots. But given today is this first day of mandatory mask wearing, plus these troops on the streets, it is a very different looking Melbourne right now, and it is here to stay for some time. Let's take a listen to the Premier here.
This is not something that's going to be over soon. Do we want these sort of stage 3 restrictions for a much longer period of time, or do we all play our part, do our very best to beat this thing?
Given Victoria is lagging behind the rest of the country, the Premier said today as well that he can't rule out that the way we spend our Christmas Day, well, it could be very different to the rest of the country, Mike.
Oh, let's hope not. Charnel Valla, thank you.
Christmas.
The majority of Melburnians
Crikey.
appear to be obeying the mandatory mask rule, but there are some notable exceptions. Paul Dowsley is across the details, and Paul, health authorities say, will have to get used to wearing them for the next few months.
Melbourne is taking this very seriously. On day one of mandated face coverings for about 5 million people, pretty much everyone is doing as they should, wearing face masks, bandanas or scarves to slow the spread through community transmission. Exemptions include children under 12, those with respiratory problems, and people undertaking vigorous exercise like running, or if you're smoking or eating. There's a 200...
What? So you don't have to wear one if you're having a hot one, or if you're jogging. If you're killing yourself, or if you're reviving yourself, you don't have to wear a mask. Good. Really nailed that mask mandatory face covering situation, didn't they, Melbourne? You can smoke as much cigarettes as you want without a mask on. And you can also run without a mask on. That's kind of weird.
$100 fine if you don't obey it, but police say they won't be enforcing that for maybe a week. Initially, they want to show discretion and speak with people who aren't wearing masks, encouraging them to join the rest of us. Premier Daniel Andrews has warned this measure is not short-term. Yes, they can be uncomfortable and stifling, but he says we should get used to it. Understandably, he can't give a time frame, but with community transmissions a real problem in Melbourne, it could be several months. Today, despite the heavy compliance, we still saw some workers in construction sites unmasked.
He's okay. He's having a hot one. What do you see there? Adari, he's good. Why have they got a vision of this gentleman obeying the rules, yet calling him one of the he's not obeying the he's a criminal right here, but yet he's clearly got a cigarette in his hand. Fine, obeying the rules, but called a criminal.
It seems some Melburnians are still getting their head around.
What the hell? This guy's smoking a cigarette. This is fucking lousy journalism. These people are smoking cigarettes. You just said you're okay to not wear a mask if you're smoking a cigarette or if you're a jogger. You've shown 2 images of 2 people breaking the rules, but yet they're smoking. Get your hand off it, 7 News.
So easy, because I know I'm not going to die and I'm not going to make someone else die.
And if people do the right thing, we probably flatten the curve.
You don't have a mask on.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot it in my car.
This is a positive step. It is a good step in terms of preventing disease spreading. It's not the panacea, though.
Here at Northland and several other shopping centres around town, if someone walks in without a mask, security will ask if they are exempt. If they are not, they will be encouraged to buy a mask. And if they refuse, they will be asked to leave.
Very, very interesting, folks. There's one more we want to watch here. This is the last report. This is the jogging situation. So like I just said, you're allowed to not wear a mask if you're partaking in fitness, such as running. Any vigorous exercise, you don't need to wear a mask, which is kind of strange because that's when you'd be sweating and possibly pushing out more of your insides into the outside. And also, if you're sucking down a durry, you're okay at that point. And we've seen how that played out. But let's just have a look at this last one here. Masked joggers.
Infectious disease experts have questioned the mask exemption for runners. Doctors have told Dougal Beatty it makes no sense when infected joggers are more prone to spreading the virus than walkers.
No shit.
When huffing and puffing around the tan, runners have been given the all clear not to wear a mask.
It's just uncomfortable. But I am holding it because I don't want to get fined. I don't know what's going on.
But given the deep exhalations of joggers, some walkers would prefer it if runners would join them in covering their faces.
Ooh, hello.
In an ideal world, yeah, I think they should be wearing them.
Taking a wide berth, yeah, where I can.
Infectious disease experts agree the exemption for runners makes no sense.
And if you're going to be jogging in a big group and you have it and you're going to be breathing hard, your chances of spreading it are increased.
Modelling by American tech company Ansys reveals how particles can be expelled from the lungs of runners, while another recent study found particles can travel up to 6 metres in 5 seconds before dispersing in light winds.
We just know that expelling air at a higher rate means you spread the virus further.
Doctors also say it's all about prolonged exposure, and ultimately the risk of a passing runner spreading the virus is small if they keep their distance.
So if you're frequently getting within 2 metres, say, of other people when you're out exercising who are not in your household bubble, please try and wear a mask.
What about smoking? You're literally exhaling. What are they doing there? Literally blowing that shit everywhere. But no mask needed. Have I got to do that again?
But the Premier says face coverings must be worn immediately before and after strenuous exercise.
It would be very challenging for people to run while they're wearing a mask. Some people will be able to do it, and if they can, fine.
And a cautious few have proved masking up while pounding the pavement can be done.
Going out for a run, I just kind of want to protect myself and other people, so I'm pretty happy to do it, actually.
Dougal Beattie, 9 News.
Dougal Beattie. What a great handle. What a great name. Folks, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's mixed. The message is mixed. It's been mixed from the very beginning. Now we're seeing okay to smoke a hot one, no mask. Okay to go running, no mask. Man, I'd tell you, put a pin in this. Ask me again. What is today? The 27th of June, 27th of July. What's the date today? It's the 24th of July. Let's ask me again on the 24th of August. Are smokers and runners allowed to not wear a mask still? I guarantee that'll have changed as well. And the infectious cases will have risen. And they'll be saying, well, now we've entered into stage 3.5, where we have now moved into mask wearing for everybody, regardless of what you're doing. You know it's coming, right? And all I'm trying to say is that if we had done that from the beginning, maybe we'd be in a different position right now. Speaking of the end of the month, Mindy, bottom line, you alone are responsible for your own health. Basically. Well, yes and no. Bottom line is you are alone responsible for your own health and the health of those around you, because of if you are infected, you are spreading it. So that's kind of half-half. I'd say that's half accurate. But what I also don't want you to miss out on by the end of this month is my album for free. Now, this is how we're going to conclude the stream. We're going to roll my promo video for the album. This features my new work. It's how you can get your hands on it. It's only for the month of July this will be taking place. So if you want the album, enjoy this little promo. When we come back from this, we'll wrap the stream up and we'll say our fond farewells. Welcome back to the... no, not a slightly random daily song at all. This is not slightly random, and this is not a song. This is a video to explain to you the Armageddon and how you can get your own copy of the Armageddon. Now, what's the Armageddon? It's my latest release. You know, I've been talking about the music I make under the moniker of That's Well, we've been discussing the latest recording. It's been taking place for the last little while. I'm happy to announce that today is release day, July 1, 2020. Why have I chosen the date July 1st for the release here? No reason except that everything kind of moved towards that being the end point of the recording process. And I figured for the whole month of July, I could promote this album, getting it into your hands. I want to give it to you for free. That's the thing. I want to give you the album for free. So as of today, and right through the whole month of July, there will be a link that I'll make clear to you either in the description here or in the chat. This is the link for you to go to and to nab the album for free, completely for free. You can download those MP3s and go to town. But the reason I want to talk to you more in detail about that is because I also want you to be able to get your hands on a hard copy if you want it. Now, you may not want this. You may just want the songs, and that's cool. But if you do want a hard copy of the album, you're gonna have to buy it, and it's not like you're buying it off a shelf. I'm only gonna print the amount that people order. So from July 1, let's say through to July 30, right? That's the whole month. That's the order process. So if you put your order in anytime in July, that means you are getting a hard copy of the album, but it hasn't been made yet. At the end of July, I will snap that process off, and if you've ordered, we'll go on and get those printed, and then I'll ship them to you. Now, the cost will be very, very negligible. I'm not looking to make money here. I'm not a musician. I'm a live streamer. I create content. I enjoy making music, but that's not the point of this. The point of it is to have a bit of a laugh. The only reason I want to do the hard copy is because last time with the second umming, so many people wanted a hard copy, and I only had 20 made. So this time, I'm not making them until I know how many are wanted. So if you do want to nab a hard copy, go to that link, do all the things there. While you're there, grab the download. This here is not the album. This is mocked artwork. This is the cover of the album, but that is not the actual album. On the album, there are a bunch of songs.
There was a time when I tried to explain. It was very blunt, but on the right track. I smoked him hard after a bottle of Jack. And what I said I would never take back. But he took it the way that a schoolboy would.
Without going too deep into the details, I recorded everything. Guitars, bass, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, vocals. You know Duncan, Buzz Kingo. On certain tracks, he came down here and helped out, added his little bit to it as well. That's all listed on the liner notes in the artwork. Another reason why you'd want to get a hard copy. Having Duncan down here to help out with the music was so rad. It was so much fun. But he's not the only guest to appear on the album. Out here in the ocean, one day I was surfing with a South African guy who was holidaying in the next door house. And after a bit of chit-chatting, we got hanging out. And he kind of said, oh, just curiously, do you happen to have an instrument? I mean, I've been missing the guitar. I play a bit of guitar. He came in, we had a jam, we wrote a song. It's on the album. That all came from surfing right here, just random surfing with a stranger.
It's looking for the dream. Today we're gonna feel like never before. Number 3, tomorrow the same.
Also featured on the album is the handiwork of Lachlan Sheehan. Now Lachlan is the sound engineer with Tracer. He did a beautiful, beautiful job at polishing a turd. He didn't just polish a turd, he rubbed that thing until it shone like Jupiter in all of its glory. Does Jupiter shine? I don't know, but whatever Lachlan did, he made this stuff way better than what it was. Lockie, dude, thank you so much, man. Go and have a listen to this and tell me this doesn't sound audibly, sonically insane. Lockie, yeah! There's also a few cover songs in here. Now, you guys wanted me to do 4 Non-Blondes, so I did that. That's in there.
Sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out, what's in my head, and I'm feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the
There's also a Pink Floyd cover. There's also an Omnis cover, right? I covered one of my own songs. The rest of that stuff is brand new material for you to enjoy. But that's not all. You know me and music. My favorite band is Ween. I love the band Ween. And so to make this release even more special, I recorded 20 covers of Ween songs, and it's on this album here. The point of me showing you that is, that's also for you as part of this package. When you download the album, The Armageddon, you get this as a bonus free disc. And if you order a hard copy of The Armageddon, you also get a hard copy of 10 more songs by Ween.
I don't know where you're coming from, but I wish you'd go away. And I don't know where you get your money from, but I wish I didn't have to be the one to pay, and I'm not sure how to say.
I've chosen to call it 10 more songs by Ween, but put 20 songs on there to be a little bit silly. But anyway, that's there for you as well. And I'll also throw in some Gives a Minute stickers for those hard copy orders. If you order a hard copy, you'll get some stickers. You'll get 3 things. You'll get the Armageddon, you'll get 10 more songs by Ween, you get a bunch of Gives a Minute stickers. I might even write a handwritten note on there for you as well. But you have to do it between now, July 1 and July 30. After July 30, there will be no more orders. Whatever it is, the number that we have, the amount, is what we go and order. There'll be about a month delay between when they get manufactured and when I can ship them to you. So if you order any time between now and the end of July, I would expect you to receive your copy of the Armageddon in September. That'd be the earliest. I'd say August will be the production, then there'll be the mail out. I reckon September you'd get it. That's why there's the download link to grab the music right now if you want it. Don't come to me after July and say, I want the album, man. You won't be able to get it. You'll have to go to Spotify's and Apple Music and all that place to buy it. This is the 1 month of opportunity. It's July, the opportunity month. Is that enough promo? I don't know about doing promo for my own music. There it is. I promoted my own music. Now look, while I sit down and take a listen to both the Armageddon and 10 more songs by Ween, you guys can go back to the live stream. This is not a Slightly Random Daily Song. Just go back to the live stream. I'll see you there. And there you go, folks. That's the Armageddon and how you can get it. You know the deal. We're promoting that for the whole month of July. Want to get it into your little hands, just like the virus wants to get out of everyone's mouths and into everyone else's mouths. I want you to have the album. I'm being silly. Get the link. It's in the chit chat up there if you want to download it for the month of July. You want your hard copy, you got to order it by then. Up in the chat, Mindy said, if you don't want to get sick or if you want to protect your family from getting sick, you need to take precautions. Hendrik said, I hadn't seen the rule about the hot ones, cigarettes. That may have been bad reporting by Channel 7. It wouldn't be the first time, but there you go. I just thought it was interesting that they literally said it in the same report. They showed someone breaking the rules by smoking. When you go to a grocery store, make sure you don't touch your face before washing your hands. When there are people around, try to maintain a distance of at least 10 feet. If you go to a park and there are a lot of people, choose a different park. I don't think there's any safe way to go to a gym unless there's only 1 or 2 people there. Basically, if you don't want to get sick and you want to protect the people around you, you need to act like a germaphobe. Yep, Mindy. Anyway, just some friendly advice for everyone. It's becoming more and more obvious that our government doesn't really know what to do. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Hendrik, I'm staying at home all the time, Mindy, apart from getting groceries. Me too, Hendrik. Right now I'm on the back porch throwing the frisbee for my dog. That sounds lovely. Folks, just a little quick reminder, if you are interested, IRL streaming from Steve Ann on D-Live today at 2 p.m. Eastern Australian time. 2 p.m. That's actually an hour earlier than what I normally stream. I will stream longer. It's going to go all the way through to sunset, but it is going to start a little earlier because of what we're doing. Streaming from Steve Ann. I'm pumped for it. And the other thing I was trying to remember earlier in the stream was that inadvertently I had the advertising on. Monetization was on for this stream, so you might have got an ad during the stream. That was not intentional. I normally switch monetization off while streaming at the beginning, or turn it off before the stream and then turn it on after. So if you watch the rerun, you'll get the ads, but I don't think ads during a live broadcast is cool. And I'm not sure if you got any mid-roll ads here. That saddens me. Even the post-roll ad or the pre-roll ad kind of saddened me, but that was not intentional. Also, I think I've worked out why for a little while you weren't hearing my outro music. When I was saying I'm hearing my outro music, you guys wouldn't have been hearing it. It's just a little technical thing that I think I'd done incorrectly from the not from the beginning, but somehow messed up the last couple of weeks. But I mean, right now I can hear my outro music rolling, and I'm pretty certain you can as well. So thanks for all your comments in the stream. Thanks for the super chats. That was really generous of everybody to drop the super chats. I'll see you all on D-Live, 2 p.m. or here tomorrow.